Hello, I'm Michael Parker, and welcome to Antidote. This week, a United States magistrate judge handed down an order to tech giant Apple that they create a custom firmware of their iOS for the FBI so that they could retrieve information from an iPhone of Syed Farook, who was one of the San Bernardino shooters. To date, Tim Cook and Apple have said no, and they will have until February 26th when they're due back in court to give a response on what they are going to do and how they are going to move forward. Most of Silicon Valley and most of the tech world has supported Apple going forward in this and supported the idea of privacy. One voice has emerged who's claimed that he can do the job for free and retrieve the information, and that's our buddy John McAfee. He is a cyber intelligence expert. He is obviously the man behind McAfee Antivirus, and he is a 2016 Libertarian presidential candidate. John, welcome to Antidote.
Thank you very much. I want to make a plug for my party right away. Go to McAfee2016.com, press the volunteer button or the donate button, but only after you've listened to me tonight and think I'm worth it. So continue.
John, we're going to talk about some of your issues of your platform towards the end of this, because I've got some questions for you. I see that you're driving. I know you've been doing quite a few interviews today. I believe you did CNBC and CNN already today?
Yeah, this is my 11th interview of the day.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to do it. You've made headlines everywhere. Let's start off with this. First of all, okay, so you put out this op-ed in Business Insider, and you are offering to decrypt this iPhone of Syed Farook for free, which would kind of let Apple off the hook. And I guess my first question is, has the FBI had any response to you at all?
None whatsoever. I have actually tweeted them. The article went viral. Many millions of copies were read, so I'm sure the FBI read it. And if the FBI cannot find my phone number, then they need to abandon their offices. So no, I've had no response. But let me tell you what the issue is. The issue isn't something, it's not just encrypting this one phone. The way the FBI wants Apple to work is to write a new version of iOS with a back door in it so that they can unencrypt not just this phone, but every phone. Even though the FBI says, no, we're only going to use it on this phone, we all know that's nonsense. And here's the issue. It's not whether the FBI is spying on us, which I don't particularly like. It's the fact that once you put a backdoor into software, always in history, backdoor is publicly known within a matter of months. I don't care who contains it. It's always known. If worse comes to worse, the Chinese can take a copy of the software and they can disassemble it, which means take the machine code, put it into readable code, read through it, understand it, find the backdoor, and then use it. Any good hacker can do that. This is the fundamental problem. Well, actually, there's two. I do not like the idea of the FBI being able to spy on all of us, but I'm far more afraid of the bad hackers and our foreign enemies, our nation states like China and Russia, who could use that to spy on every person that owns a spy phone, an iPhone, including government workers, military workers, people who work in critical industries, and you and I. On top of that, hackers, the bad hackers, they're going to empty our bank accounts. They're going to take our credit cards and max them out. They're going to find our social security numbers and create false identities. We will be in chaos if we do that. People stopped putting backdoors in software 15 years ago when they realized that by doing so, the entire world had access to the internals of their software. We cannot do this. It shows a complete lack of understanding of our U.S. government, of technology, of cybersecurity, of cyber science, and of cyber warfare.
I understand. You made one of the paragraphs in your article, which was quite powerful, and I'm going to read it, and I think we've got a graphic for it. Give me just a second. You said, "This is a black day and the beginning of the end of the U.S. as a world power. The government has ordered a disarmament of our already ancient cybersecurity and cyber defense systems, and it is asking us to take a walk into that near horizon where cyber war is unquestionably waiting, with nothing more than harsh words as a weapon and the hope that our enemies will take pity at our unarmed condition and treat us fairly. Not likely to happen, is it, John?
Well, treat us fairly, no, it's not likely to happen. I think world history has proven over and over again that that's not going to happen. But really, that's what we're doing. By putting backdoors into encryption, we are allowing our enemies to know our every move. That's insane from a national defense standpoint. Who in their right mind in this government conceived of this idea? Well, I know that they want the FBI to have it so they can track terrorists. What they don't understand is once it's in there, everybody in the world is going to have it. It is a fact of life. History has shown it over and over and over. You cannot, under any circumstances, protect a backdoor. That's the basic principle. So my question is it worse to make it more difficult to track terrorists, or to be subjected to a foreign government and become the slaves of that government? Please use our common sense.
I understand. And you kind of preempted a question that I had at the beginning because you already touched upon it. And I guess one of my primary questions is, how much is this really about this particular case and this particular phone, and how much of this is really about setting a legal precedent to do this?
It's setting a legal precedent.
Yes.
Because seriously,
yeah.
Like I said, I would eat my shoe on the Neil Cavuto show if I am not able to crack this one phone and give them the information. Any hacker can do it. If they were serious about just wanting the information on that one phone, they'd take me up on it. Hell, I'm doing it for free. If they want Apple to do what they want, it's going to take Apple a year to create a new software, a new operating system to do what they want. So what are they losing? Take me up on it.
I agree.
If I lose, I'll eat my shoe on Cavuto. I won't.
And
if I win, they get exactly what they say they want. But they're not going to, because this is not what they want. They want access to everybody's phone, period.
That's what it seems like. You have said that it would take you 3 weeks tops. And you make an because a lot of people say, well, why in the world can't the FBI, with all of its resources, not do this? And you explain why they can't do it. Why can't the FBI do what you're saying that you can do?
Okay, well, let me tell you something about hacking. Hacking is like music, in a way. In music, we know there have been prodigies throughout the world. The Juilliard School of Music, the greatest in the world, cannot produce a Bach or a Mozart. You have to be born with those talents. There are mathematicians in this world who, in their head, can multiply two 1,000-digit numbers and instantly give you the answer. You can't teach that to anybody. It has to be an innate talent. And hackers who can look at raw computer code and disassemble it in their minds, and within a matter of hours tell you exactly what it's doing, are 1 in 100 million. And those people do not work for the government because, number one, they're very individualistic. They may have purple hair, 10-gauge earrings. They may have tattoos on their face, and almost all of them demand to smoke weed while they're working. Now, how is the U.S. government going to hire these people? They won't. But the Chinese do. The Russians do. All the smart governments do, because they understand that wearing a suit and having a degree from Stanford is insufficient to be competitive in the world of cybersecurity. This is the fundamental truth, and we cannot escape it.
I understand, and I would also ask you, what about the people who say, well, wait a minute, with things like the NSA and PRISM, aren't they already doing quite a bit of this surveillance, and why can't they use that? Which just seems to go back to your original point. This isn't really about solving this one particular case. This is about getting surveillance on us.
It is. And the difference is, with PRISM, you're using mainframes and distributed information. We're now talking about a smartphone that everybody carries, everyone. It has a microphone where you can listen to us. It has a camera and a video where you can take videos and photos of us. It tells us where we are. It tells everything about us. This is the difference. This is a monumental invasion. And not just that. Forget the invasion. I might accept the invasion, but it gives bad hackers and foreign enemies the same ability to invade us. Here is the insanity of it. Is it worth it for the FBI to know what we're all doing if, in fact, the Chinese also know? And the Russians? No, I don't think so.
Well, for the sake of argument, there would also be some people who might say, well, wait a minute, can we trust John McAfee to do this?
I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to put a backdoor in Apple. I'm just giving them the information on one phone. It's going to take me a long time to do it, 3 weeks. What is that doing? I'm not hacking into anybody's phone. I'm not putting in a backdoor. I wouldn't know how to do it. I don't have access to Apple software engineers. So no, what is there to trust? That I will look at the information that the FBI I want, or what use could I possibly make of it? It's two different things. A backdoor and a hack of one phone are two entirely different things.
Yes. All right, I get it. I'm just putting it out there just to play devil's advocate. What do you think? Apple's going to have to go back to court on the 26th. What do you think the likelihood is that they're going to cave?
Listen, Tim Cook is not going to cave.
Good.
Tim Cook has brass balls, and we need to get behind him. A lot is going to depend on what we, the American public, do. If we just sit back and, as Donald Trump says, boycott Apple. Now, I've never heard a more foolish statement in my entire life. Then maybe the government has a chance. If we as Americans, especially the technologists, go, listen, you are trying to destroy America by doing this, then maybe Apple has a chance. Maybe Tim Cook can get up there and make his case, and some judge is going to go, wow, you're right. The government wants to destroy America. Because really, that's what will happen. You don't mind if I smoke, do you?
Go for it.
You mind if I shoot up heroin, do you?
Hey, man, if you got it on you, you know.
My wife just hit me. It was a joke.
I know. Well, okay, I understand what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you. When I look at the conversations that I'm seeing today regarding this issue, most of Silicon Valley and most people that I think are knowledgeable are coming down on the side of privacy. They understand the magnitude of this thing that is before us. On the other hand, there are people, and some of them are in the press, and as you mentioned, Donald Trump as well, who don't understand the sophisticated nature of what is being entailed here. They're like, well, wait a minute, why wouldn't we just, let's just hack the phone. It's just one guy who kills some people. What could that hurt? But it's just, they do not understand. It's beyond 140 characters in a Twitter statement. It's something that you have to be in the industry to kind of understand the depth of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and what they don't understand is this. It goes beyond our national borders and our national interests. If, in fact, only the FBI had it and could keep it, perfect. But we know that can't happen.
Right.
It has never happened. Never. Because even if someone doesn't get the back door, someone's going to take that whole frigging piece of software, disassemble it, and figure it out. Always. This is why we stopped putting backdoors in, because it was foolish and self-destructive. So the people who are saying that are narrow-minded and looking only at what's happening here in America, not realizing that backdoor will be available to every hacker in the world and every hostile nation in the world, and we are doomed. If that happens, we're doomed. So please, people, understand that. This goes way beyond the FBI's capacity to spy on us. We're giving that capacity to all of our enemies. For God's sake, we can't. We can't.
You have talked quite a bit about how the U.S. is really behind in the cybersecurity war, and we are just not up to the job. And then Obama's asking him for $19 billion for his new cybersecurity program, but you have said you think it's going to be destined to fail.
Of course it's destined to fail. The United States government, obviously, look at the hacks that we've had of Homeland Security and the FBI and our Department of Defense and the Office of Personnel Management. We are incapable of defending ourselves. We do not have within the government the capacity to create a new Office of Digital Transformation or whatever he wants to call it. We don't have it. The people clearly can't do it. Why? Because our technological management is old, sick, and tired, and has not kept up with the reality of this world of changing technology. You have to get people from the outside. You have to. We need 10 to 20,000 of the world's best hackers, and I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they smoke dope at work. They can do it in the basement somewhere. I don't care if they only show up at 10 and leave at 2. What I care about is, can you do the job? And they can. And yet the government cannot. If we do not swallow this one simple change, we are doomed as a nation, because the next war will not be fought with bombs and guns and nuclear weapons. No, it will be a cyber war of unimaginable devastation.
Well, that takes us to your platform. You are running for president in 2016. You are seeking the nomination from the Libertarian Party. So let's talk about that. I mean, you have a great slogan. I believe it was like freedom, technology. I can't find my
privacy.
Yes.
And privacy.
Yeah, and that is a great slogan. Let's talk about how you, first of all, why did you want to run for president? What stirred in you that said, you know what, I need to do this?
You know, you have to believe me, I'm 70 years old. I don't want to. I don't. I mean, I've had power, and I'm too old to spend 4 years of my life serving a nation of ungrateful people. That's what the president has to do.
Yeah.
The presidency and our government has stopped being a service industry. When it started out, the government was here to serve the people. They had to push George Washington, kicking and screaming into that seat. And he was the best for the job. Let's face it. The last president that they did that for was Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now listen, he had had the entire Allied command under him, half of the world's armies, nuclear weapons and battleships. Do you think it was a promotion for him to be a president? No, he didn't want it. He was the best man for the job. And I think I am the best man for the job. You can ask my wife. She knows I don't want to do this. But really, somebody has to. There is no one in government technologically competent enough to save us. I mean, look at Donald Trump, for Christ's sakes. If this is his platform, if this is his attitude, yes, let's throw backdoors in and boycott Apple, we're done for. We will sink. We will spiral down into oblivion. And in 10 years, we will all be speaking Chinese and living 14 people to a single room. This is the facts. This is the facts.
Let's talk about your foreign policy, because one thing I like about your platform, and it is kind of very much of the libertarian flavor, you want to reject interventionist policies. I love that.
Oh, well, of course. Look at what we've done, okay? The United States for so long was the most powerful country in the world. What did it do with that power? It said, well, why don't we become the world's policeman? The world didn't ask us to be the world's policeman.
Right.
We have interfered in the internal affairs of foreign nations mercilessly. Why? Because we didn't like the way they were doing things internally. So what happens when that happens? You get frustration and suffering and anger in the occupied country. And what does that give rise to? Terrorism. We created terrorism. And by fighting it the way we are fighting it, we are giving rise to more terrorism. My God, history is proving this. I would be angry too. What if you were living in Pocatello, Idaho, and every other day a drone came by, invisible, and bombed your next-door neighbor, killed your mother, your father, your brother? You would be pissed off. You would be angry. You might even strap a bomb around yourself and try to hurt somebody.
That's what I've been saying for years.
You have to stop. We have to stop interfering. We have problems here at home. If nobody's noticed, then you're asleep, or you're spending all of the time on the sofa watching reality shows, because we have problems here, and we need to fix these problems. Our national defense is for just that purpose, to defend our nation, not to interfere with others, but to pretend to defend ourselves. We've got to stop doing it. We have to. That's my foreign policy. As far as big government, good God, look at this government, 2.8 million employees in the executive branch alone. That doesn't include contractors. Double that amount. Does it help? Does the government serve you? No. What does the government do? It tells you what to do and what not to do. Here, the fundamental question we must ask is, do our bodies belong to ourselves? Or do they belong to the government?
The sovereign...
Because if they don't belong to the government, then our government has gone insane. It tells us what we can ingest and what we can't ingest. Life-saving drugs for the terminally ill, we can't get them because the government is afraid that those drugs might harm the dying. This is my body. Yours is yours. What you choose to do with it is your business. It can't possibly be the government's business. We have to get back to that state of sanity where freedom, it means nothing if you are not free to do with your body as you wish.
I agree with that. The sovereignty of the human body has been one of the themes in this show that we've addressed it several times. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, and talking about drugs, is on personal freedoms, you would decriminalize marijuana across the board.
I would decriminalize all drugs across the board. Look what's happened with our war on drugs. Our government somehow imagined that by taking drugs, we would do great devastation to the American society. By criminalizing them, we have created the greatest criminal organization the world has ever seen, and the most brutal, has killed, tortured, and mutilated millions of people. It is devastating our society. What on earth does the government think has changed for the better? Nothing, and the war will never end. You cannot legislate what a person does with their body. You can't. It just doesn't work. Prohibition. Alcohol was illegal. During Prohibition, more alcohol was consumed in this country than since any time since its formation. Prostitution. Prostitution is massively illegal, and yet the ratio of prostitutes to the population is identical here to countries where prostitution is legal. Nothing changes when you try to legislate the human body, other than the suffering that the prohibition itself imposes. We have to stop. We have to stop.
Well, I wish you luck on your candidacy. Are you going to be able to be on the ballot in all 50 states?
If I win the Libertarian nomination, which my advisors assure me will happen, I'm not even paying attention. I'm focusing on Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the November election, because that's where the real work will be done. And by the way, speaking of candidacy, please go to McAfee2016.com. McAfee2016.com. Press the volunteer button if you have time. Press the donate button if you've got 50 cents, 75 cents, $1. We need your help. And if I've said anything today that resonates with you and your listeners, please, you've got to have a smartphone with you right now. As soon as I get off, go to McAfee2016.com, press the donate button, help us out. We have an uphill battle against an establishment that is 150 years old. Please help.
John, you are a very colorful character, and yet everything you say makes a great deal of sense to me.
Well, thank you. That's rare.
I mean, because you know what your what people think of you or say about you on the internet, and yet when I hear you speak, everything you're saying, it just makes a lot of sense to me. I tend to agree.
Well, I tend to make a lot of fun of myself. There's no way to survive otherwise. When we take ourselves too seriously, we end up like Trump, or we end up like a dictator. And at every step along the way, if I find myself taking myself seriously as an important person, I make fun of me. I mean, if you doubt that, go to the McAfee Uninstall on YouTube and watch it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
I think I have seen that. One last question. Let's just say someone from the Obama administration called you up and said, John, you know what, we really want you to come up here and help us out with our cybersecurity programs. Would you do that?
Provided they fired all the technologists, I would, sure.
Fair enough. Well, John McAfee, thank you so much for joining us today. You have been on the headlines of many papers and websites today and taken time out to join us on Antidote. was very kind of you, so I appreciate it. I wish you continued luck. I hope the FBI does reach out to you and you can give them some information, but I doubt they're going to do that.
I kind of doubt it too. Okay, again, McAfee16.com. Help us out.
All right, brother, thank you so much, man.
All right.
All right, take care. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man himself, John McAfee, cybersecurity expert, man of mystery, radical guy. I get a kick out of him. And when he said that he would decrypt the phone for free, I was like, I have to bring him on. We've actually been talking to some of his people to get him on for a while, but today seemed like the perfect day to do it. So what do you think? Do you think that Apple should cave in and give the information over to the government, or do you think that this is a big issue? I think it's a big issue, and I think there's a lot at stake. And privacy is important. It is actually one of the things that the United Nations says is a human right. It's hard to disagree with that. So it's something to think about. Make your voices heard if you feel this is as strong an issue as we do. My name is Michael Parker. This has been Antidote. As always, stay optimistic, stay vigilant. Until next week, we're the Antidote.